Good evening. It's Sunday, the 1st of January, and it's time for the news on RIK 2. A gunman opened fire on revelers at a packed nightclub on the shores of Istanbul's Bosphorus waterway, killing at least 39 people, including many foreigners, then fled the scene, and a manhunt is underway. Some people jumped into the Bosphorus waters to save themselves after the attacker opened fire at random in the Reina nightclub. Officials spoke of a single shooter, but some reports, including on social media, suggest that there may have been more. The attack shook NATO member Turkey as it tries to recover from a failed July coup and a series of deadly bombings in cities, including Istanbul and the capital Ankara, some blamed on Islamic State and others claimed by Kurdish militants. Security services had been on alert across Europe for New Year celebrations following an attack on a Christmas market in Berlin that killed 12 people. Only days ago, an online message from a pro-Islamic State group called for attacks by lone wolves on celebrations, gatherings and clubs. The Hurriyet newspaper cited witnesses as saying the attackers shouted in Arabic as they opened fire at Reina. The incident bore echoes of an attack by militant Islamists on Paris's Bataclan music hall in November 2015 that, along with assaults on bars and restaurants, killed 130 people. 16 of the victims in Istanbul were foreign citizens, including a Belgian, 5 Saudis, 2 Lebanese and 1 Israeli. 69 were injured. Tayyip Erdogan said that as a nation, Turkey will fight to the end against the armed attackers of terror groups, but also against their economic, political and social attacks. They are trying, he added, to create chaos, demoralize Turkish people and destabilize the country. Turkey, he added, will stand more closely together and never give ground to such dirty games. There has been no claim of responsibility, but Erdogan linked the attacks to developments in the region where Turkey faces conflict across its frontier in Syria and Iraq. Some 3 million Syrian refugees currently live on Turkish soil. The Reina Club is one of Istanbul's best-known night spots, popular with locals and foreigners. Some 600 people were thought to have been inside when the gunman shot dead a policeman and civilian at the door, forced his way in and then opened fire. Istanbul Governor Vasip Sahin said the attacker used a long-range weapon to brutally and savagely fire on people, apparently referring to some form of assault rifle. Turkish Prime Minister Binali Yildirim said that authorities are starting to uncover evidence about the attack, but there is no clarity yet on who was responsible. The Republic of Cyprus will be represented at the Geneva conference on January the 12th, President Anastasiadis categorically said, responding to scathing opposition criticism and doubts as to whether one of the signatories to the 1960 London-Zurich agreements would be present. Anastasiadis made clear that he would be the one representing the Republic of Cyprus, adding that also sitting at the table would be the 3 guarantor powers, Greece, Turkey and Britain, and the Greek and Turkish Cypriot communities represented by himself and Mustafa Akinci. In an interview with Daily Bolidis, the president noted that Akinci could never claim to represent the illegal state in the occupied north, as it is not a recognized international entity and definitely not a signatory to the London-Zurich agreements. Therefore, he added, any such statement by the Turkish Cypriot leader would bear no international legality or credibility. Nikos Anastasiadis further made clear that if Akinci does not submit territorial maps by January the 11th, the multilateral conference will not take place. On security and guarantees, President Anastasiadis said it required a logical approach, particularly to the need for the speedy withdrawal of Turkish occupation troops from the island. There must be a period, he stressed, whereby a guarantee can be provided for the smooth, practical implementation of everything that has been agreed, as well as to secure the stability of constitutional order. However, he added there must be a clear time frame from the end of these guarantees, which can emanate from the Security Council, the European Union and Turkey. The president did not rule out a deal in 2017 with possible referenda in June if technical issues are dealt with effectively. The ninth Secretary-General of the United Nations, Antonio Gutteres, has called for peace to be a global priority as he started his first day in office. The former Portuguese Prime Minister and UN refugee chief begins a 5-year term amid conflicts in the Middle East, Africa and elsewhere, as well as threats from terrorism and climate change. Gutteres called on all citizens, governments and leaders to strive to overcome their differences from solidarity and compassion in their daily lives to dialogue and respect across political divides. From ceasefires on the battlefield to compromise at the negotiating table to reach political solutions, peace must be our goal and our guide, Antonio Gutteres said in his New Year's address. The new chief made the appeal after taking over from Ban Ki-moon, whose term in office ended at midnight on December the 31st. One of the first challenges for the Secretary-General will be to deal with a hostile incoming new US president who has shown scorn for United Nations. New Year celebrations were overshadowed by the Istanbul massacre as tens of millions from London, Paris, Berlin, Moscow and New York celebrated under tight security measures. Particularly in European capitals, measures were more evident than other years following the recent Berlin attacks, as well as increasing threats by extremist groups to drown celebrations in blood. The centre of the German capital was sealed off as hundreds of police carrying automatic weapons for the first time patrolled the streets. The same in London, which remains on the second highest level of alert due to threats of attacks in the British capital considered as highly credible. In New York, hundreds of thousands converged on Times Square to witness the glittering New Year's Eve ball make its midnight descent, a century-old New York tradition unfolding under an unprecedented umbrella of security. As many as 2 million people, surrounded by a ring of 40-ton sand trucks and some 7,000 police, gathered in or around the crossroads of the world to watch the kaleidoscopic sphere complete its minute-long drop. At the Vatican, Pope Francis urged leaders to work together to fight the plague of terrorism, saying in his New Year's address that a blood stain was covering the world as it started 2017. Speaking to some 50,000 people in St. Peter's Square for his traditional noon address, Francis departed from his prepared text to condemn the Istanbul nightclub attack that killed at least 39 people. Now a look at the weather. Overcast skies tomorrow with isolated showers and storms. Snowfalls are expected over the mountains as well as lower lying regions. Winds will be moderate to strong, southwesterly to northwesterly force 4 to 5 over slight seas. Temperatures will reach 15 Celsius inland, 16 in coastal regions and 2 over the mountains where frost will form. The depth of snow on Mount Olympus is 65 centimetres with 55 in Triodos Square. That's all from us here. Join us tomorrow for more news in English. Have a very good evening and Happy New Year.